away. I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future, cause I'll never see those days. I don't know why this has happened, but I probably deserve it. I tried to do my best, but you know that I'm not perfect. I've been praying for forgiveness, you've been praying for
What is going on, everybody? This is Coffee with Hoffie. If you like that intro song, it is called Deathbed. And that is by... Hold on, let me find it for you. That is by Powfu, P-O-W-F-U, and Be Bad Doobie, Deathbed. So check that out if you like that. That's on Spotify and iTunes. And thanks for joining me today. Originally when I thought I was going to be doing a podcast, I thought I'd be interviewing people. But since we are amidst a global pandemic, I'm just going to be talking to the internet instead. So last week I posed a question, everybody. I said, what is a new obstacle that you're facing now that you are in quarantine and everybody's supposed to stay home? Well, before I get into that, let's talk about what's on everybody's mind right now. These headphones. You're thinking those aren't real headphones. That's a joke. Those are joke headphones you get for someone in a joke shop. And I assure you, these are regular size headphones. I just have a head like a baby grape. So they look huge. But they are for a normal person. If there was a normal sized person, they would look okay. Okay. So now back to the question. And people's answers, I was kind of overwhelmed with how many people answered. I didn't think I was going to get that much of a response. But they usually fall into three categories. Some sort of loneliness, not being able to stay on a routine or have a schedule, and then probably, the more serious ones like anxiety, depression, hopelessness, and then, of course, that caused by the worry of getting sick or your loved ones or something. So we'll read some of these responses. So the question was, what's a new obstacle that you face now that you're in isolation? And Shay Splain says, I can't remember the last time I had a hug or any physical interaction with anyone. You don't realize the difference even just a pat on the shoulder or something like that can make in your life until suddenly it's not an option. I feel like a lot of people feel like that right now. It sucks, not being able to interact with people. And I just try to remind myself that, we're doing this for a reason. And as much as it sucks, we're keeping people safe. But before I get into the more serious stuff, I want to talk about loneliness's cousin, horniness, because I'm actually a little uncomfortable with how horny everybody is and some of these responses. So Amanda Nilo 23 on Instagram says, lack of dick. That's all it says, lack of dick. That's the big problem that she's facing. Man, sorry about that. But at least she has her priorities straight, Emanuela Sophia on Instagram says not getting any physical affection. Yes, that can be tough, especially if you're in a relationship. If you're single like me, you're used to not really getting that much physical affection anyways. I try to hug my roommate Kyle, and he doesn't like it, and he won't allow that. So I haven't been able to hug anybody for a while. Jules Costa, or Jules C. Costa, I should say, on Instagram says, too much Netflix, not enough chill. I like when people get creative with it. I think that's cool. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Watching a lot of Netflix, but not getting any. And I'm sorry about that, That's definitely a problem. Nicole Taylor says, trying to make love to myself without my roommate hearing me when she's in the kitchen. Yeah, that's a problem I don't really relate to. I'm not getting too loud when I'm making love to myself, but maybe I should, maybe I'm just not doing it right. And, but Nicole's roommate is Kari, and she's very sex positive. So I don't know. I think you're okay. I think just go for it, have fun. And, I don't think she's going to mind if she overhears anything. Maybe she can just put earbuds in or something. That's what I would do. This one I liked. Miss Chris 2789 said, having threesomes is her biggest obstacle. Parentheses, also a difficult thing outside of this. Yeah, threesomes are, they're overrated, man. I think the best part of a threesome is like thinking back on it and then also being able to brag about it. But, during it, it's like air traffic control. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to think about. and it's hard to just lose yourself and enjoy it. One of my favorite things about this comment is I think she realized that there's bigger issues going on right after it, so she sent that, and then right afterwards she goes, "Oh, and seeing my parents." She probably felt guilty and was like, "Oh man, I should say that I miss my parents before I start talking about orgies, you know." But yeah, definitely an issue. Kettle One Boston, my boy Big A on Instagram says the porn. There's so much porn. It's true. There's too much. And now I'm pretty sure Pornhub did this thing where they're just giving everybody premium for free. I don't really know what the difference is between premium and like the regular stuff, but I mean, if it's more than regular Pornhub's already too much for me to handle. If there's like a premium section, come on, that's too much. But be careful, because you don't want to fall down a porn hole and then just, you find out you're into some really, really weird stuff, and then after quarantine's over, you get back with your significant other. She's like, "Wow, what's with all the peanut butter?" And you're like, "Don't worry about it." So yeah, be careful with that porn. Katie Lynn Official says human contact. Pretty much what everybody's saying. Yeah, it's tough out here in the streets. This is one of my favorites too. Layla Not the Song on Instagram says quarantined. Quarantine. I like that. I like when you're sexually frustrated, but it doesn't stop you from coming up with a good pun. Yeah, a lot of ladies feeling the isolation right now. Chrissy_Parrot says physical sensation. Now I grouped this in with the sex stuff because I assume that's what they're talking about. It'd be kind of weird if they're not feeling any physical sensation anymore at all. That's a different issue. If your whole body's numb, I feel like you should probably go to the hospital. Although you wouldn't get in because they're so overwhelmed right now. But yeah, unless you're in a sensory deprivation tank, you should be feeling some sort of physical sensation. Let's see, who else up in here is horny? Randy Valerio says, "There's a pussy shortage at my place." There's a pussy shortage at my place, and I need a haircut. Oh man, what a tough life, Randy. Well, you can see I shaved my head. That's one way to get around the haircut thing, and I shaved my beard. I just wanted to get out in front of it. I feel like a lot of people are going to be changing their styles up and stuff. I just didn't want to get accused of copying anybody, so I did it first. But yeah, maybe you can cut your own hair. Also, I like the term pussy shortage, because it implies that there's some at your apartment, just not enough. So I hope you find some more. And Rebecca RC857 says, honestly, I think the lack of human contact and the social element. Yeah, that's definitely hard. People's oxytocin is running low. They say you need 8 hugs a day just for maintenance, just to stay a human. And to me, that sounds like a lot, because I'm not even getting one. But, I mean, I like up to 8 would be good. But maybe after this, that's how we'll start greeting each other. Because hugging each other and facing away, is probably less dangerous than shaking hands and spreading germs that way. So I hope so. I hope we start hugging each other more. Nicole on Instagram says, not joining OnlyFans.com has been a problem. I mean, a lot of people have done it. I've seen a lot of comedians start OnlyFans accounts and start selling their naked pictures. Yeah, I mean, it's like, especially with job security right now, you don't know. Should you start selling pictures of your feet? Should you just do lingerie stuff, or should you go full naked? I don't know. I guess that's up to you. It depends if there's a market for it too. But Nicole, you're cute. I've seen your Instagram, so I think you do all right if you were thinking about joining. Keep us updated, and maybe we'll put the link up here if you decide to sponsor this podcast. It'd be very nice of you. The next thing people were struggling with was routine and, going stir crazy, insomnia, things like that. So Megan Lynn says, the never sleeping, the anxiety of Tyler working and possibly getting this virus or bringing it home to us and the girls keeps me up at night. This isolation has turned me into quite the night owl. Crying emoji. Yeah, 100% understand. I've always kind of struggled with insomnia and stuff like that. But especially when you have no prompts, you know what I mean? You don't have to set the alarm to go to work, or you're not on a regular schedule. Maybe they closed your gym down, so it's like, what do you do? I got a little bit of advice for that at the end after I'm done reading this on how you can get back on schedule. Angela says, having to attend Snackaholics Anonymous after all this is over. I mean, it's true and it's relatable, but the dad joke kind of upsets me a little bit. I don't really like that, but I still put it in here because so many people were saying it. Yeah, eating junk food. I mean, that kind of goes back to like maybe meal prep or staying on a routine, so we'll have to try and figure something out there. Katie Shack says motivation to keep a schedule. Yep. Lee 10 says showering. You're not even showering? I don't know how to solve that. Maybe take a bath instead, you know? Make it part of your self-care thing. Take a nice bath with some essential oils and some salts or something, maybe a bath bomb. And then, you'll be a little less stinky. And then also, it'll be nice and relaxing for you, too. And that'll help with the isolation, I think. But you still get a shower once in a while. Bonzi84 said, I lost my job and I'm getting fatter by the second. Oh, poor Yvonne. Job security right now, a lot of people are worried about that stuff. I think that falls into my next thing I'm going to talk about anxiety. But yeah, definitely the eating. And, it's funny. Everybody was like keto and they're talking about all these diets, paleo, all this stuff. And then, who comes to the rescue when the world is ending? Simple carbs, sugar, bread, grains. Yeah. What's up now? I've eaten about 6,000 M&Ms in the past couple of weeks. A lot of pasta, a lot of Hot Pockets, because I hit Costco before this whole thing went down. Mato says, my sleep schedule is so fucked. Got out of bed at 5 p.m. Also stare at screens too much. Yeah, once your sleep schedule, that's the thing that I'm struggling with. Once it gets messed up, so hard to get back on a regular sleep schedule. Kind of getting there now, but like I stayed up all night one night watching the Ozarks. Then I fell asleep. Then I woke up at like 4 p.m. And I couldn't sleep that night because I had slept so long. It's just, it's a tough cycle to get into. Elena says, keeping busy and distracted in order to keep the anxiety and the depression out. Yeah, that's tough, man. That's the third thing is the anxiety, depression, and the hopelessness. A lot of people are feeling that right now. Whitney Calling says, super generic, but anxiety. One of the things I don't want people to do is feel guilty about talking about mental health and stuff like this. The unemployment rate's going up. When that happens, suicides go up exponentially. So does domestic violence. So does depression, anxiety. Things that people usually are embarrassed to talk about. And you can't be. I know there's a lot going on, and there are arguably more serious things. But you can't neglect this stuff, because it's insidious, and it will creep up on you and it'll cause serious problems. Crystal M82 says, anxiety, loneliness, depression. Am I depressed, or is it just the isolation? That's a good question, too. Kind of relates to this. Piggy Small says, how do I know if my meds are working, if I'm by myself and I don't get mad at anybody else? Like, yeah. How do you know? It's kind of there's no barometer, really, to measure this stuff, especially if you do struggle with anxiety and depression normally. Do you know if you're having an episode or maybe it's just everything that's going on? At least there's the solidarity part where we're all kind of going through this together. Coffee and Whiskey says crippling depression and snack addiction. Those are the second and third categories combined. Yeah, that's tough. Curvy Fit Confidence just says anxiety, ? Or no, ! Rosio Delanoche says anxiety, 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 and anxiety. People are worried. Bree9227 says loneliness, boredom, fear of impending doom. Yeah, I get it. This last one here, Chelsea Ann Weiss says, dude, the depression. It's different than what I've experienced in the past. It has a bit of claustrophobia. My sense of hopelessness is skyrocketing. This is what I'll say to you guys. As somebody who's dealt with depression and anxiety almost all my life, mood swings, all of that different stuff. It sucks, but you're not alone. Everybody's kind of going through the same thing right now, which is good and bad, but at least they'll understand if you need to reach out to someone. I'll say this now, anybody can reach out to me at any time. You can message me on Instagram or whatever, and or FaceTime, and we'll talk about it. A couple of things you might want to try, though, just for the overall anxiety and stuff. I was diagnosed with agoraphobia, and I had a lot of irrational fears when I was younger after my father passed away. And I think it was just the lack of control. You know what I mean? It's just realizing that you just don't have control in life. It's all just kind of, things can change at a moment's notice. And we're noticing that with this pandemic. But, with that being said, we're this is comforting to me. It might not be to everybody, but we're all going to die. You know what I mean? There's really nothing you can do. Nobody knows what they're doing. One of my favorite sayings is the leaf that struggles against the current and the one that goes with the flow both end up in the same place. You can worry about all this shit that's going to happen. You can worry about dying, but it's just, there's nothing we can do about it. So all we really have is right now. You have to live in the moment. I know that's trite to say, but, that sense of awareness of being in the moment really helps. And just focusing on the things that you can help and trying to change the things that you can change and not focus on things that you have no control over. Okay, so for my suggestions, with the loneliness and the horniness and stuff like that, there's only so much you can do. You got to FaceTime, you got to get creative. Maybe phone sex will have a huge comeback. I don't know. But reach out to your friends. Don't be afraid to reach out. And then if you are feeling lonely and no one's organizing anything, then be the person to organize stuff. Set up a Zoom meeting. Tell everybody you're having a party. Do little theme things. Everybody can get dressed up in their apartment. There's interesting ways to kind of get around that stuff. As far as the routine, one of the things I would say is write out exactly what you're going to do for the day, hour by hour. And that's what I was doing before this pandemic, because I have to keep my own schedule, and it works. I have in my schedule, it says wake up, make a cup of tea, shower, get ready, get dressed, go to the gym, read for 30 minutes, meditate for 30 minutes. Everything that I'm supposed to do is written out. And then, the other good thing about that is that if you just have your calendar open, you're like, what do I have to do next? You're never worrying about whether or not you're doing the right thing. And also, it kind of keeps your mind off of everything that's going on, and it keeps you from spending too much time on social media, because I know that with the phone there, and because we don't have physical connection, everyone's just on social media, and, but as we're finding out, it's just not a replacement. It's just not as good as the real thing. So you might as well use this time to try and improve yourself and get your schedule going. I would start with 5 things. If you're really struggling and you're depressed and you're anxious and stuff like that, and you feel like you can't get anything done, don't start with big tasks. Now's not the time to be like, oh, I really need to organize my closet. I would say start with 5 things, small things that you want to do every single day. 2 things that, will move you forward professionally eventually, 2 things that'll move you forward personally. And then the 5th thing is something for somebody else. These are techniques I got from my coach, Dave DeSalle. He's at Dave DeSalle on Instagram, or you could just Google Dave DeSalle. But it's called the Power List. It works really well. So, for example, my 5 things, I'm up to a lot more than 5 things now, but you start with 5. And I think originally it was like write a joke on every platform once a day. Record something. Those are my 2 professional things. Read for 30 minutes a day. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. And then I would do a random act of kindness. That would be my thing for somebody else. And, it goes a long way. Also, doing things for somebody else, forcing yourself and thinking throughout the day, oh, yeah, I still need to do something for somebody else. It brings you joy in a time where everybody's lonely and depressed, and everybody needs it. So just randomly messaging somebody, being like, I miss you, or complimenting them, or sharing their stuff that they're posting online, because everybody's posting online right now. That could help out a lot. So that's staying focused and staying on routine. Now, for the anxiety and the depression, I can just tell you what I do, and especially where people might not have access to their therapy right now, or they might not have access to their medication, or they're not sure if their medication is working. You kind of have to go back to old school techniques. Something that's been probably the most effective for anxiety for me is the 4-7-8 breathing method. And either looking at a timer, so you keep your seconds the same, or if you're good at counting it, but it's in for 4, and then you hold for 7, and then you breathe out for 8 seconds. And you just repeat that until you're all zenned out, and then hopefully your panic attack subsides. So in the moment, that's something good you can do. But like I said, also keeping that schedule and staying busy is a really good thing to kind of keep depression and anxiety and stuff at bay. The third thing being, don't be afraid to talk about it. You have to reach out to people if you're struggling. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but People will understand, and we're all kind of going through the same thing. Also, if you're not equipped to help people right now, that's okay. I know a lot of people feel guilty about that, but if you're really struggling, don't let your friends unload all the problems on you. Make yourself available if you're in a good headspace. Like I would say, I could talk people off the ledge right now because I'm feeling good and I'm doing well, and surprisingly, these things aren't affecting my moods as much as other people. But if you're really having a tough time, just let people know. Set reasonable expectations and just be like, I can't handle all this stuff right now. I'm going through it. Hopefully they'll understand, or you can say it in a way that would make people understand. But we got to make the best of a shitty situation. As far as the impending doom, if this was a choice, if you were like, you know what, I'm going to take a month off of work and I'm just going to work on myself, it would be amazing, right? Everybody would be congratulating you and your decision to improve and stuff. So I would say use this time wisely and try to turn it into a positive if you can. The last thing I want to read is from Ben Ludlow on Facebook. When I asked the biggest obstacle, he said the guilt. All I can do is sit inside and try to stay sane and productive while there are people out there putting themselves in harm's way and helping the sick. Obviously, we all have our problems and ways this is putting us out, but I'm just struggling, feeling like there's nothing I can do. Well, Ben, you are doing the right thing. Staying at home is actually really important. And I know it doesn't seem like it, and everybody's going crazy, and they're horny, and they're lonely, and they can't keep the routines, but there is a bigger issue here, and it's that people are sick, and people are dying, and it seems counterintuitive, but the best thing that you can do is nothing, and you are helping out. I mean, a special thank you to all the nurses and doctors and healthcare providers and stuff that are going out working each day, risking getting sick, helping people that are sick. You guys deserve a parade whenever that can happen again, because you're amazing and we appreciate it. But if you don't have that skill set, the best thing that you can do is just keep other people from getting sick and not passing along, or just staying healthy yourself. With that being said, this is my grandmother. This is Nana. She's 98 years old, and she just tested positive for the coronavirus. Yeah. So it must have been, one of the workers, one of the healthcare workers, or somebody that's in charge of taking care of her, brought it into the hospital by mistake, or maybe it was already in the hospital and it was just spreading with inside. They're really doing their best. They're trying to keep her safe, but it happens, and it's just killing me to think that somebody who survived the Great Depression and World War II might be taken out by a virus. It's really unsettling, and we can't see her right now. And people visit her, they have to wave through a window like she's in prison, and it just really sucks. And I think the realization set in. So if anybody's not taking this seriously or whatever, I would just say there's people in their 20s and 30s that are dying too, or just getting really, really sick. The hospitals are overwhelmed. They don't have enough equipment for everybody. And then people who are most at risk, like my grandmother, it's really scary because if she did get, that sick where she was dying, we couldn't go inside to see her. Maybe they would let one or two people in. But she can't be surrounded by her grandkids and great-grandkids or children or whatever. And God forbid if she did pass away, they wouldn't even let us have a funeral, So it's just, this thing is serious. And, I was trying to be silly in the beginning to try and lighten the mood or whatever. And I think that's kind of what we have to do. But, let's remember that as much as it sucks staying in isolation, there's a good reason for it. And it's so people's memas and papas don't get sick. All right, well, hey, that's the first episode of Coffee with Hoffie. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be here next Sunday as well. And then for next week's question, if you want to answer in the comments, or you can follow me on social media at the Justin Hoff on Instagram, or on Twitter, it's JAHOFF, or just Justin Hoff on Facebook. And you can answer back to this. But my question for next week is, what's something that people notice about you that you wish they didn't? It doesn't have to be physical, but maybe it is. Maybe you're really tall and people always bring that up, or maybe you have freckles, or a birthmark or something, just something that people mention all the time to you, and you just really wish they'd have the kind graces not to. Could be like the way you talk, an accent, or whatever. But I'll post that question, and I appreciate everybody's feedback and everything. Until then, stay safe, stay inside. Thank you so much.
Don't stay awake for too long, don't go to bed. I'll make a cup of coffee for your head. I'll get you up and going out of bed.
Yeah, I don't wanna fall asleep, I don't wanna pass away. I've been thinking of our future, cause I'll never see those days. I don't know why this has happened, but I probably deserve it. I tried